Okay, guys, we're live. It took Jillian and I 10 minutes to figure this out and get it together. We, for a while, were trying to figure out if we could live stream together.
Together. There's
If
a
we could
way.
do a co-live stream, you know?
There's a way. We'll
So I'm
figure it
sure
out.
there's a way, but we didn't figure it out in the 10 minutes and we just had to get over it, get it done. So if you join the live stream, I hope I'll be able to see you in um Riverside. And that's the thing. I'm always like, if they join on YouTube, will I be able to see them in the chat on Riverside?
Yes, you
Okay.
can.
All
You
right,
absolutely
wonderful.
can.
Awesome. Great. Clearly, I don't know how it works 100%.
Do any of us? Do any of us?
Do any of us? Okay. So as people join in, if people join in, I'm just gonna put in the chat if you have a question. If you have a question, ask it.
Ask it.
If
Or I just went to
you
your YouTube. I can see you. I can
I can
see
see it
y'all.
too.
Love it. Okay, but I'm gonna turn
About
it off because I'll get
raising
distracted.
money or anything industry related, ask away. Okay. Um okay, I'm so excited. I'm to have Gyllian Carter on the Working Writer channel. Jillian and I met on Twitter, no, on TikTok. About a month ago. I feel like it was about a month ago that we met.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I it was very random. You just saw me on TikTok and then you asked me to come on your Hillman talk, which I'd
Yes,
love to
honey.
hear how you got started, why you decided to start your TV 101 Hillman
Hmm.
talk. So we'll get there when we get there. Jillian is an Emmy award winning producer and writer. She mostly works in daytime television, which is a world I don't know that much about, but I always, whenever I meet anybody from daytime, they're always hilarious. They're always some of the funniest
Trauma.
people.
Trauma.
But that's industry wide. Um, so that's not special, Jillian. That don't make no difference now. Um, so Jillian, I want to hear all about your background, who you are as a person first, and then how your origin story into the industry. And then eventually, at some point, for anybody that does join the live, we are going to be talking about how to raise money. And I'm going to be interviewing Jillian about that. So stick around for that. But just to kick it off, Jillian, welcome to the Working Writer. Thank you so much for joining.
You are welcome. I'm so excited to be here. You that's funny that you think I'm funny because you're hilarious.
No, you're
And
hilarious.
no, I posted a clip from the our last conversation and I was like, the biggest joy in my life is when validated funny people find me funny because then now
Ooh.
I feel like I'm an extension of that validation. Like,
Oh, that's
yes.
so funny. You know, my first
Yes.
instinct was to say I'm not validated, but then I was just like, you know what, Charla,
You
let's
are.
chill. Because I just did something on imposter syndrome and I'm not even fucking around with it anymore. So let's
Clock it,
let's
honey.
stop with the
Yes.
I'm nothing. I'm no one.
I despise imposter syndrome. I
I
despise the
despise.
very
Did you see
phrasing.
that? I despise it. Oh my god, people are on the live stream. I love it. Hi Nash. Hi
Oh, Nash!
Autumn.
Autumn! Come on in.
I love it. So yeah, guys, if you guys have any questions, and these guys are from the last one. I feel like I remember their names,
Yep.
and so this is gonna be as unhinged as the previous Jillian and Charla meeting. So
Because it's
yes,
unhinged. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yes. So who are you, Jillian? What's going on?
Well, I was gonna say it's being funny, but I'm not gonna try to be funny. I don't know. I'm just a lovely individual who happens to work in TV. Some of my greatest attributes that I think not everyone agrees. Again, funny. I think I'm very funny. Takes people a while to figure that out about me, but when they do, I love it. It's the greatest compliment anyone can ever give me. I think I can sing. I can't, but I actually
Interesting.
don't care. I don't
Okay.
care. I don't care. I will sing at the top of my lungs. I once sang live for Aretha Franklin, and she very nicely told me to never do that again. Um,
Aw, she's so cool.
I love her. I love her.
She's
I
so
love
cool.
her.
Yeah.
Told me don't ever do that again.
But
And
did
I
she
was
do it
on
in like a
cloud
mean way,
nine.
or did she do it in
No,
like a way that was hilarious? Like your grandma or your
very,
auntie would do it.
very
Yeah.
auntie. She was
I love
like,
it.
well, baby,
Yeah.
that was something. It's probably something you shouldn't do again. And I was like, okay, 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 Miss Riri. I will
I
not
love
be
it.
doing that again.
Where are you
No,
from, Jillian?
oh my God, okay. This the real origin story.
This
So I,
I'm from Boston, and I feel like I need to know where you're from so I can like place you like mentally.
there's no, this is going to be unhinged. So I was born in South Carolina,
Yes, right,
but
right, right.
both of my parents were in the military. So I've moved every 3.5 years of my life. So sometimes I say I'm from California
Mm-hmm.
because I went to college there and 1 year of high school.
Okay.
But also, I have lived in North Carolina, South Carolina, upstate New York, New Mexico, San Diego, Houston, and Chicago.
Okay. So you're American as apple pie.
Mm,
You're very, very
yes,
American.
yes,
Okay.
very,
I love it.
very
Okay.
Americana.
I got it. Placed. So what's your industry origin story? How did
Well,
you
so
get
I
into that?
started out, well, okay, so my first job in entertainment was my internship. So I interned at Ben Stiller's production company, Red Hour Films. And I
Okay,
started out
wait.
there.
What did you do for your college degree? Just so I know.
And my college degree is creative writing with a
Oh,
minor in
cute.
Latin and Black Studies.
Oh, very cute. Okay, cute.
Right?
So, was the Ben Stiller production company like your first, like out of college, you
Yep.
did that? So, you were very clear from the beginning that
No,
you were going to be in Hollywood. It
no,
just happened to be a job
no.
that you got.
So
Okay.
I got into I didn't know TV was, I didn't know that was a job option.
Hmm.
But probably like my sophomore year in college, I saw a cute boy in the quad and his name is Kamali Jones. I shout him out all the time and he's like, Jillian, get over it. Yeah, he was adorable. I was like, oh my God, who is this guy? Right. So then I
Yeah.
go up to him and I'm like, I think you're cute. Let's go have lunch. And he's like, well, sure, but I have to go to work first. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Where do you work? Complete stalker. And he's
Hmm.
like, well, I'm going now if you want to come with me. And then we can go to lunch. And I was like, okay, fine. Turns out he's an editor for the like local PBS uh show that the college puts on. And so I'm just like, can you hurry up? Because I want to go to lunch and like get to know you. And so what ends up happening is he has an edit bay. I didn't know what that was at the time. So I sit down and I sit in the producer seat. So I'm over his shoulder. And because I need him to hurry up, I'm like, why don't you just move that over there? Put that over there. Like just throw in some music. Da, 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 da. And he's like listening to me. He's like, okay, 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 okay. And then at
That
some
is
point,
so funny.
it's
I
so
love how he
ridiculous.
was so open. I mean, editors have to be like that. They have to be open to like production notes and like,
Yeah.
supervision. So that's really cool. What a good
And
editor.
literally over his
Yeah.
shoulder, no idea what we're doing. And then he turns to me and goes, you're really good at this. And I was like, good at what?
Jillian, this is an insane
What?
story. This
No,
sounds like a meet cute for your career, and that's not a
I was gonna
real
say
thing.
yes for my career. Yes. Not
Yeah,
for
this sounds like, I
Kamali.
mean, it clearly it's not Kamali because he told you to stop shouting him out, which is
Yeah.
hurtful, frankly.
Well, it's because, sorry,
Yeah.
Kamali, he did not go into entertainment at all.
Well, and good for him. And what? So what?
So he's like, you always bring this up. I'm like, but whatever. He was
Well, he's a
graduating.
part of your origin story.
He
Kamali needs to chill.
is.
Kamali, if you're
I'm
listening to this, then
like, calm
she has a
down.
right to include you. You're a part of her origin story. Okay.
Right? Thank you.
Yeah. I love to shout out the
No, but
people who help me. Yeah.
he ended up telling, we never went to lunch, by the way, but he ended up I know. That's why it's not a meet cute for me and my
Why didn't you
could have
guys go to
been.
lunch?
Because first of all, Kamali was a weed head. Like
Oh, okay.
he was a true editor
I
in
see.
the sense that he was like Dungeon and Dragons.
So he was
and-
too high to go to lunch with you.
Yeah, but he did introduce me to his boss and he was like, hey, she's really good. I'm graduating. Don't you need someone? And then this whole time, I still have no idea what it is. I'm like,
Mhm.
sure, whatever. I could use an on-campus job, like whatever. Fast forward, accept the job. 4 years later, because I was in college for 5 years for my undergrad, but 4 years
Nice.
later,
Yeah.
I turned that one little PBS show, was a half hour that aired every single day for a month, the same show. I took that and turned that into 2 half-hour shows that were aired once a week, twice a month. And then from there, I built out an entire department. Basically, like I had interns, we had different types of shows, and then the communications department then took over the program that I created when I left, and
Wow.
did not name it after me. So whatever,
Wow. So
whatever.
you basically built like a studio or like
Oh
a,
yeah, we ended up buying a studio.
yeah, you
Yep.
built like a
Hmm.
network basically.
I did. I did. I did. And still, Charla,
Yeah.
still, I was like, what am I going to do when I graduate?
Interesting. So you weren't
Hmm.
even like,
No.
so you were just naturally doing what just comes natural to you, not
It,
something that
yeah.
made you be like, oh, this is a career for me.
No idea. I
Okay.
was like, oh, I get to boss people around.
Yeah.
And also, as a child, I don't, this really should be about my delusion story, because
Hmm.
even as a child, I had a video camera, like our home video camera. And I used to write movie scripts,
Okay.
like on in my little notebook. And then I would make my brother and my sister and my mom act them out while I recorded them.
You know, this is so what you're telling me makes me think of this is my idea for an upcoming like content piece that I'm going to be doing about like how so many people talk about working for working as a creative but specifically working as a television writer or as a filmmaker or whatever
Hmm.
is just so unrealistic. It's so crazy. And I'm just like it's going to be really hard to pursue this if you think it's literally nuts, you know? It's going
Yeah.
to be really
Yeah.
hard to pursue something that you think is so unrealistic and crazy. And it's like, yes, it is not the beaten path. It's you know, it's off the beaten path. It has less clear steps on the staircase.
Yep.
It is unpredictable. It's not guaranteed. But I would prefer that we talk about it for what it really is instead of this like it's insane. And it's like it's not let's use our proper
It's a
but
viable job option. I
it's a
think.
viable job option. It's a more difficult one, but it's a legitimate one. And I'm just saying that because of the way that you have a clear interest in this. You have
Clear.
clear talent,
Clear.
but we never put two and two together because I feel like there's just this pervasive belief that it is so nuts. And it's just like it just
Yeah.
means that you have to do a little bit more planning, you have to tolerate a little bit more risk and increasingly more risk, frankly. And the risk goes up as you get older, as you have a family, as you blah 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 whatever.
Hmm.
But you know what, I'm gonna talk about it because
Let's
because I
talk
have a
about
I
it.
feel like so much of my content lately is just, you know what, actually I have a gripe. This really grinds my gears.
That's
You know
the
what really
best way to
grinds my
do it.
gears? I think that's the best kind of way to get content because I'm just like I just see this pervasive belief out there that I'm just like, let's challenge our beliefs a little bit. Let's confront them
Yeah.
instead of acting like they're totally rational and legitimate because we're afraid to actually pursue what we want to pursue.
Charlotte, I
But this is
started
about you, Jillian.
posting. No, I started
Yes.
posting
Yeah.
on TikTok because I kept getting people, when I would tell them what I do for a living, they would give me either the shocked, like, oh wow, I know
Yeah.
someone who's doing that kind of
Yeah.
face.
Nobody knows anyone who's like every time I'm in around civilians, they're like,
Yes.
no way. And I'm like, I think I actually miss LA a little bit for this.
Because it's common and
It's
you're
so
like,
normal. Yeah.
yeah, like you can say, oh yeah, I'm a
To
TV
the point of
producer.
disdain. To the point of just like, ugh,
Like,
gross. Where's a
like, of
normal
course.
person?
Right. Of course.
Can
You
I
work
talk
on blah,
to
blah,
it like
blah.
a cook, a chef? Can I talk to anybody different? But yeah, like out here in the real world, everyone's like, "Oh my god, that is so cool!" Like that is so, and I'm just like, I kind of miss LA a little bit, where it's
Yeah.
not that interesting. But yes, go ahead.
No, it is
Uh,
not that
go
interesting.
ahead,
But no.
Julian. Yeah.
Um, what was it? I don't even know what I was saying. What was I talking about? We were done with
You
Kamali,
were
right? We
talking,
were
yes,
talking
you were talking
about
about how even when you were young, you
yes,
were a filmmaker, you know, and then I jumped
yes.
in, girl. But go ahead.
No, but let me tell you about these films. This is the funniest thing, right? So this
Okay.
is 90 something, and we
Hmm.
have a home video camera, no editing equipment, so everything's a
Yes.
jump cut. Everything. Scene to scene to scene is a jump cut. And then I also play the piano, so I would play the score
Hmm.
live while we're recording. And when we look back on the tapes, I'm like, this is so chaotic, but hilarious. And these were like real dramatic scenes. Like I was writing dramas, but they're hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. So, anyways, I graduate, still no idea. I'm like,
Yes.
I don't like what job. I'm gonna be a writer and write books. But I also need a paycheck. So how do I do that? Right. So then one night, my friend's like, well, why don't you just go into like television production? And I was like, is that like a real job or is that just like a college campus thing? And they're like, go to the site, apply for jobs. Right. So I go,
Mhm.
I think it might have been Entertainment Careers at the time. I don't know, whatever site. And I applied for every single job, every single one of them. I was like, director of development. Yes. Fresh out of college. I was like, run the network. Yes, I'm available to do that. No concept of what roles are. And in that like manic, like applying for jobs, I ended up getting an internship with Ben Stiller's production company. So I
Very
was
cool.
able to work on Meet the Fockers 2 was the first thing I did.
Insane. Mhm.
And no, here's what's insane. You want to know what my job was?
What?
It was literally nothing. I went to the set and I would laugh because in my interview, I was like, this is like when I was more like Legally Blonde, when I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like I totally love all the TVs and all the films. But in my interview, I was like, guys, this isn't really my humor. So I don't know if I'd be a fit. And they're like, what? And I was like, I don't know, but like, not really my humor. Fast forward, I'm on set. Something happens. I'm cracking up laughing. And my laugh can be a little bit infectious when it's like that gut wrenching laugh.
Mhm.
And so they were just like, oh, we made Jillian laugh. And
Were
then
you the
that was
only
like,
black woman on set?
of
The only
course.
black woman on set is always the like, what do you call her? The litmus test for actual funny, because she's not gonna laugh unless it's
Like, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not.
black women are.
We are, and that was my job. I was the litmus test, the intern.
Don't
If I
laugh unless
laughed,
it's
they were like,
funny.
good
Yeah,
take. Jillian laughed. And I'd be
Jillian
like,
laughed. Yeah, that's
anyways, I'll be over
funny.
at Crafty. Thanks,
What a
guys.
fantastic first job that you weren't
Yeah.
even, you know what I mean? So
I
okay, so
was,
you're on the Ben Stiller, you're working at Ben Stiller's production company.
mm-hmm.
Um, what is give us the, the I
The
guess
journey.
the journey. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was at Ben Stiller's production company as an intern, and
Hmm.
because I was like a crazed, like I need to have a job, I need to figure out my life, like what's going on, and because I applied for so many jobs, I started getting a lot of callbacks, like days and weeks later. So I decided to say yes to any job that was like, yes, well, how are you? So one was Dr. Phil as an intern, the Dr. Phil show, and then one was for this like acting modeling agency where I also worked and also vowed to never do that again. Never, ever in my life.
Because modeling is crazy, or like the
They were
industry is
so
nuts.
just mean.
Yeah.
They were just like the stereotypical like go get coffee. Why are you dressed like that? Like you need to represent our agency. Like, oh my God. Like literally down to my weight. And I was like, oh, you guys are silly.
Yeah, I
You're
see.
not,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
not gonna happen here. So and of those three, I ended up really liking the Dr. Phil show.
And what were you
Pri-
doing on the Dr. Phil show?
well, at the time I was an intern, but what I liked about it is they were so like now I understand how toxic they were, but
Interesting.
it was just so unhinged that even as an intern, I was basically producing shows. So I was booking guests, I was pre-interviewing the guest, I was writing out the scripts, checking and doing all the research, just like no supervision. So I was like, this is great. And then it was more instant gratification than working on the film because
Yeah.
that film was like a year out from ever making it to a screen. And the first day I interned, that show aired the following Tuesday. It was like I started on a
Damn.
Thursday, it aired on a Tuesday. So I was like,
Damn.
look at my name in the credits. Look
That
at
is so not
me.
like normal television,
Really? Well, talk shows,
or
yeah.
the television that I've worked on. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say talk shows, it's
Yeah.
instant. Instant.
That is one thing that I feel like can be very taxing, is how long you have to wait for things in
Yeah.
normal narrative television. So that's FYI. If you're interested in narrative, it's a waiting game.
Takes a while.
Yeah, it
Takes a
takes a
while.
long
I would go
time.
insane. I'd be
Yeah.
like, what? Huh? When is
So
that airing?
so how long did you work
It's
on the
Dr.
Dr.
Phil.
Phil show?
So I was at Dr. Phil. Eventually, it ended up being 8 years,
Hmm.
but there was like a break in the middle. But I went from intern to production assistant to associate producer, and then like a freelance producer.
Okay.
And because talk shows have like summer school, like school schedules, like we have Thanksgiving break, we have Christmas break, we have summer. I mean, it's the same thing. I think you guys have summer break and stuff like that. But
No, we
um,
don't.
oh
There is no summer break. What are you talking about?
no, we get three. It's 3 months off. There's not one
No.
single talk show working for 3 months
Yeah.
of the summer. No.
No.
So because of that, had I budgeted my money accordingly, then maybe I would not have to work those 3 months. But I did. So in between all of those years, I did award shows and reality shows.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so I casted for Big Brother and The Bachelor and the Bachelorette. And then I produced back then it was the MTV Movie Awards and the BET Awards and Kids Choice Awards and Teen Choice Awards.
Jillian, you've had such a freaking heavy career, dude.
Girl, it's all over the place. It's all over the place.
So I
And
don't
that's like,
hear Iyanla in here, like of all of
girl, because
these.
that's only the first. I was like the first 5 years of my career. Because
That
then I
was
went
the
on.
first 5 years.
Then I went on to work for the Tyra Banks show.
Oh
I went
my
on to work
God.
for this court show where I won my first Emmy, which was Christina's Court.
Mhm.
Canceled after 2 seasons, but I don't care. I walked away with some Emmys. So,
Good for you.
or 3 seasons. And then from there, I did a bunch of shows I don't even remember, but like I was like on for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then eventually I made it to Chicago for Oprah's like last season of the Oprah show.
What was it like
So
working for Oprah?
can I tell you, it's magical. It's
Oh, that's
absolutely
so good to
magical.
hear.
And
I
can
was
tell
so
you,
nervous. I
no,
was
don't be,
like-
don't be. Her people,
Yeah.
not the greatest, but it's like
Interesting.
it was like navigating a corporate job where
Mhm.
I had never done corporate anything, so I didn't speak the language. Like I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, what do you mean you work 9 to 5? I don't understand. Like, it's production. You work until the job's done. They were like, oh no, 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 we got to pick the kids up. Like it was very Midwest, very
Aw,
like,
cool.
yeah, very wholesome. But I was like, my toxic LA mentality was like, no, we stay here until everyone's booked, all the printers are done, nobody leaves, bring a change of clothes. And they're just like,
Hilarious.
calm down,
Yeah.
calm down. But
So
no,
you were the
Oprah
toxic one.
herself.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, most
Mhm.
definitely. Working on the Dr. Phil show as my first job trained me to be toxic. It was like, this is how you survive in the wild. Okay, this is what you got to do. Raised by wolves on that job. No, but Oprah herself is fantastic. Like 2 things she gave me was one, she reminded me that it's okay to be generous in this industry. Um, it's fine. Be generous with your ideas, be generous with your thoughts, be generous with your mentoring, be generous with even financially. Like giveaways, giveaways, giveaways. Like be as generous as you can. And then she also gave me this amazing amount of confidence because there was working on the Dr. Phil show, everything's scrutinized, right? So you have to, there's this illusion of being perfect and you have to be perfect or you're going to be berated, you're going to be fired, you're going to be embarrassed. So there was this constant get it perfect according to Dr. Phil.
Mhm.
So that's how I was operating when I got there. I was like, the script has to be perfect. I need to get her to approve it and look at it because she's going to have tons of corrections. So then I can go back and make all those corrections, right? I approach her like with that kind of energy, like, here's the script. Here you go. I emailed it to you. Your assistant has it, blah, blah, blah. Let's like walk through it. She like takes the script out of my hand and she's like, flips through it. She's like, yeah, it looks good. And I was like, don't you want to like read it? Do you need a pen? And she was like, no, I hired you to write the script. I trust you to write the script. She's like, just put it in the prompter. And I was like, you, I need to check some. I was like, what do you mean? Just put it in the prompter? She's like, yeah, I hired you because I trust you to do your job. And your job is writing the script. So put it in the prompter. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. So for me in that moment, it took away my need for checks and balances out of insecurity.
Interesting.
And yeah, so now when I write a script, I'm like, done, done. And I should be specific about this. Talk show scripts,
yes.
news scripts,
Yes.
morning
Yes.
show
Yes.
scripts.
Yes. Yes.
I
Mhm.
think I would labor over something on like a scripted series. I would be
Oh
like,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
You guys have way less things are even less precious because of the frequency of your, shows.
27
And
days.
yeah, even though in the writers room things can't be too precious because we only have so much time. So,
Yeah.
we got to get it recorded. So, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while I was at Oprah, or Harpo was her production company in
Mhm.
Chicago,
Mhm.
and I got there tail end of her last season as she was starting her network.
Mhm.
And the network was at the time like tanking, and it was getting bad like press all over the place.
I remember that time. Oprah, you could tell, was really going through it.
Let me tell you, I
Yeah.
didn't know until I got there, because still in my mind, Oprah, it's like
Yeah.
water off a duck's back. I was like,
Yeah.
Oprah, she's great. She's amazing. She doesn't care. I
Yeah.
get there and
Yeah.
she's like, guys, what do I do? So she
Yeah.
hired a bunch of us to come out from LA to like plant ourselves within her team in Chicago, because we were outside of the bubble, and she felt like we would know how to get what's outside of the bubble, that kind of magic inside of the
Mhm.
bubble.
Mhm.
So no pressure, just Oprah's like, pivot the whole network. So in that process, we were doing a lot of developing, like trying out show ideas, pitching show ideas, coming up with talent, looking for people, really trying to put something together. And that's where we how we got Iyanla Fix My Life. So Iyanla was already on board,
Mhm.
but they wanted her to basically be the new Oprah. So they were building out a talk show for her. And it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. It was absolutely terrible. It took us 5, 6 hours to record 47 minutes worth of TV.
Why was it terrible?
It
She's so
just,
good at TV.
no, can I tell you? She's good at people,
Yeah.
and she needs time to do that.
Mhm.
So whereas a talk show, it's literally 47 minutes.
Right, right,
So
right.
she's trying to solve it in a similar way that Dr. Phil was doing, but
Mhm.
I think what people don't know behind the scenes with Dr. Phil, yes, he's like solving whatever he's solving, but I, as the producer, I'm doing the research, I'm talking to the experts, I'm physically like diagnosing people, I'm coming up with like, I'm basically telling him what to say.
Mhm.
Which is why when you worked for Dr. Phil, you had to read every single one of his books. You had to know like you could answer questions for him. Like there was a point in my life I could do an interview as Dr. Phil and no one would know the
Oh
difference.
wow. That's not
No,
good.
we would, no, it was awful. Awful. He had producers ghostwrite books for him because we
Mm.
knew him so
Yeah.
well. We knew his material. He didn't even need to be there. But like that's scripted, and he knows how to read the script, and he knows where to put in his like personality. With Iyanla, she doesn't need our input like that. And because she's not a TV person necessarily, she's a people person, she wanted the time with the people to
Yeah.
figure out and uncover things, where
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, I already know that. We're in segment 3. You need to talk about this beat, that beat, and that beat. And she's like,
Okay.
Jillian, let me discover it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I already did. Just say we've been here for 5 hours.
I can't
Uh,
believe you had the audacity to fix your face and yell at Mama Iyanla.
oh no. Oh, Charlotte, look, first of all, when you work
I know
with
it's your job. No, I know. Yeah.
Iyanla, first of all, it's like again, so my history, I'm coming from very regimented, very
Yes. No, I know.
scary places,
Yeah.
right? So I wasn't used to how Iyanla shows up for her
Interesting.
like staff. She
Mhm.
shows up as auntie. So
Mhm.
like there's this moment in a meeting one time. I forgot what the meeting. It's like a full-on meeting with tons of people, right? Our producers on the show were all black. But the greater amount of people at
Mhm.
Oprah, at Harpo, were not black. We
I
were the
remember
black
that. I
people.
remember like the video, the cameras inside of Harpo, and it was like, okay, Oprah, we see you. Okay, Oprah.
Every black person was with us,
Yeah.
and they were transplants from LA,
I almost wonder
except
if a
with the
white
exception
person
of one.
could work with Iyanla. They'd have to be like one of those white people
No,
that like
no.
is down. Basically like
Charla,
an emotionally black person.
Charlotte,
Like,
let me check. Has the NDA expired?
yeah. Girl, I don't
Because
know.
we tried it. We tried it.
Yeah.
The first executive producer was a white man
Okay.
because he was very prominent at Harpo.
I
Everybody
can't
loved
imagine Iyanla's
him.
energy getting along well
No.
with a white man. Especially in a position of power. I don't think so. I don't
The
think so.
dynamic, it's so
Yeah.
interesting you said, because the dynamic is, again, he's coming from this, the executive producer at the time was coming from I worked on the greatest show to ever happen in daytime, and now we're going to turn Iyanla into the greatest daytime talk show ever,
Okay.
and never took the time to actually
Yeah.
see Iyanla. So it was literally me, and I will take credit for this to the day I die. We were
Mhm.
all sitting in a meeting going, we can't edit 5 hours of footage every day to get 5 47-minute shows every, like, we can't do that. And I was like, she shouldn't have a talk show. This should be out in the field. And they all looked at me, and I was like, she's better when she can go into people's homes, make them uncomfortable, get in their
Jillian,
room
this
with
is
them,
like
be with them.
Jillian, this is like killing me because I'm such a giant fan of Iyanla Fix My Life. Like I'm obsessed with that show. As a matter of fact, I think Iyanla inspired me. Obviously, I'm a big Oprah fan. It has reduced slightly in the last few years because of some moves that she's made.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still respect. It's still
Mhm.
Oprah. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But I think Iyanla is like anointed. You know what I mean? Like when you watch
She
Iyanla work on
is.
this television show, number one, it's fantastic television because it's
Thank you.
so visceral.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll watch because now some full episodes are on YouTube. Once in a while, I'll throw on an Iyanla episode just to vibe. You know what I mean?
No,
Just
she
like-
and she is exactly
So Jillian,
who
you're
she
basically
presents.
telling me that you created the Iyanla Van Zant show.
On my more confident, egotistical days, I say that, yes. But I was the one to say it in a room full of people that were responsible for developing it. And so then
Which
we had
is
to run
creating
it. Of the
it.
top. That's yeah. So that's on my like
I
I'm a
understand
little
what
full
you
of
mean.
myself days.
Yes,
Yeah,
I understand what
yeah.
you mean that it's a group effort, but
Yeah.
would it have pivoted that way if you didn't say it like that day? I don't know. Potentially eventually.
Charlotte, let me tell you another time I blew these
Yeah.
people's mind. Like if looks could kill, I would have died this day. Because Oprah had to come to Jesus with us about the network. She's like, look, we need to figure out, we need to be in a pivot. You guys are part of our pivot. Like she used to do these like closed door meetings with all of the people that she had come out from LA, which were all Black women. So we're sitting in this room, right? So it's like the Black women and then like the rest of the team who were non-Black women. And she's really like, what do we do? Like, let's brainstorm, let's sit here. And I go, you guys, I don't know why no one said this, but you have to appeal to Black women. And everyone looks at me and I was like, every network does that. Like I said it so flippantly. I was like, every network does that. Why aren't we doing it? Like, I don't understand. I was like, CW started out with the Wayans Brothers show, and Fox started out with In Living Color. And then once they get us in, then you can like do whatever you want. But like that's the audience.
Interesting.
And they were, and that's the pattern. Like it is literally, WeTV started out with the Braxton sisters.
Yeah.
They all start out Bobby and Whitney for Bravo that launched their reality stuff.
Interesting. I didn't realize.
That is what networks do, because Black women, when we show up, we show up. Like we are there. And then whatever we like, people follow. So what happened with OWN, objectively from the outside looking in until I got there, was very Midwest white woman centered.
Yeah.
So they had Shania Twain had a reality show, which is like, okay,
yeah,
like who cares? And then I think someone else, it was just like really Midwest feeling. And so when I said this in the meeting, I did not know this, but I put a huge target on me because they were like, what? Huh? And I was like, how come you don't like, why don't we know this? I thought we knew this. Like, you need to meet with people like, dare I say a Tyler Perry, but like, you need to find Black women content. And I remember giving them the example. I was like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Black person or Black people, but there's just certain things that Black women like versus what we don't like. So like, they had a show, it wasn't Elton John, but it was like some other singer. They're like, oh, pitching him for a reality show. And I was like, no, but Black women wouldn't watch that, but we would probably watch Tom Jones. Like, probably. Like if he was in the mix, it's not unusual to be like, that's enough to bring
I wouldn't
me
watch
to the
it,
screen. No, me neither. There's a lot of daytime stuff I want to watch, but like Black women as a whole or Black people in general would probably oh, okay, I could check and see what that's about, right? The show then has to live up to it, but you have to appeal to Black women. And so in this meeting, they were just like jaws on the floor. And I walked away from that meeting thinking I was going to get fired, but no one said anything because Oprah was like, yes, yes, yes. But everyone
Mhm.
else was like, they were like, how
Interesting.
dare you? And I was like, anyways, but no, a few weeks later, we see Tyler Perry come to the studio. We see Ava DuVernay coming to the studio. And then I'm like, oh, they must have went and did the research.
Yeah.
And now, and then all of a sudden, Iyanla's project was high priority. And she really helped pivot the network. Like she really
Yeah.
helped pivot
Yeah.
it. But no, working with Iyanla is crazy because she is auntie and she thinks she's your mother, your
Yeah.
aunt at all times.
Yeah.
So in meetings, I would say something. And she's like, "Oh, Jillian, that's probably. Do you have? Would you say you have mother issues?" And I'd be like,
Not right
I'd be
now,
like,
Iyanla. We have work to do. Okay.
I'd be like, not in front of these white people.
Yeah.
And
100%.
she's like, "Oh, my bad, my bad. I forget this is your job. Like
I love
you're in
that.
corporate." Yeah, but she was great.
So,
She was great.
Jillian, I have an hour of your time, so I want to make sure that
Yes. Okay.
we get it. So you worked on truly so much daytime television, so much reality television, so much unscripted stuff that's actually scripted that we've watched. So you've had an insane career. Um, you started this Hillman Talk thing on TikTok. Real quick, what was the impetus behind starting that?
Well, once I saw Dr. Barlow, who was
Hmm.
the professor who was really just talking to her 30 students, did a post and we all were like, okay, I guess we're enrolled. Then I was like, oh, wait, maybe I should do the same. Sorry,
Hmm.
Harrison. I was like, maybe I should do the same and do a production 101 class. The reason why it was so seamless for me is because I had made a deal with myself at the top of January that I was just going to go live every day for 14 days so I can get comfortable, I can figure it out and just like have that commitment. And at the end of those 14 days, I realized I was just teaching people how to do pitch decks and
Hmm.
so and how to pitch their shows. So then when this came up, I was like, "Oh, I can just repeat what I did for the first 14 days with a new audience and see where that goes." So that's what kind of started it. And then in the process of that, we're on week 7 of classes. I found out I absolutely love this. Like I
I love it.
love teaching. I love sharing any kind of information I have, not realizing that this stuff is informative and valuable to people. Cause I'm like, oh, that's right. I guess you wouldn't know like
Yeah.
what's in a pitch deck or like that you need certain things.
That is surprising, isn't it? The things that
Yeah.
the knowledge that we have that we just assume is common knowledge, like even little things I've said, and somebody's like, "Oh, that was so helpful. I didn't think of that." And I was like, "All right, well, I guess I should share way more because I
You're like,
thought that was
oh,
literally nothing."
right.
Um, so really cool because that's how we ended up connecting. I did your show, and on your show, I mentioned that I'm terrified to raise money. I've never tried to do it before.
Mm.
And then you said, well, ask me because I know about raising money. So, what
Yeah.
do you know, Jillian, about
Well, here
raising money?
it's really the thing for me is I am not afraid or intimidated to ask people for money. I
Hmm.
never like when it comes to companies, sponsorships, collaborations, like negotiating, I am never afraid. I've negotiated every contract I've ever had. When I got like important enough to have a lawyer, even the lawyer, I'm like, I go through it first and then you can redline it, but I go through it first. I'm the one who's going to tell, like, I will negotiate it because I just loved it. I love the act of saying, I want this. You have to give it to me. Um,
But what's your experience with raising money?
so a couple of
Yes.
things. So the first time I ever had to raise money for like a big project, a friend of mine has this documentary. It's pretty amazing and
Hmm.
it's an aside, so I'll give you the clip notes to it. But essentially, her brother was diagnosed with uh, bipolar schizophrenia, and she was 13 when he was diagnosed. Picked up her family's camcorder and started recording her brother's life and her family's life, and she did that until she was about 26 and she has all this footage and she was like, I want to tell this story. So she started editing it, doing sizzle reels, using all this footage, and she brought me on. She's like, "Hey, just look at it and tell me what you think." I fell in love with the project. And then I was like, "Hey, we need to like, let's just do this." So then she was like, "But we need money." I was like, "Okay, we'll get money." Like, I don't know why I just had that like
Mm-hmm.
energy of like, okay, we'll get money. So I'm like, it's mental health stuff. Who's looking for it? Who's doing docu-series right now? This is like a new thing. So I literally went around raising money for her, talking to any kind of angel investor I could find, going to angel investors. I went to law firms. Like I was like, I was like, hey, this is what it is. I went to anyone I think would be interested in and just created a pitch deck that I had to personalize for whoever I was talking to. But I would just create pitch decks and just get in people's faces and tell them this was a great project and this is what we need. Like, here's the
Oh,
bottom line.
so this question actually really goes with what you're saying right now. How do you choose your sponsors to approach funding? And on top of that, can you give us a like synopsis of like what you're literally saying to them when you're asking them for money?
You're like, so
Yeah.
what do I
Yeah.
say?
What do we say when we want money? You know?
Okay, so I identify. I'll start with
Let's
identifying
put this back.
sponsors.
Yeah.
How did you sponsors to approach for funding? So there's a difference between sponsors, collaboration, angel, and investors. So you have there's different approaches that I take for each. So an investor is someone who is giving you money and expecting something in return,
Hmm.
and that's usually equal what they gave you and a little bit more. And you can negotiate that. That's like you just throw it against the wall, and whoever responds,
Yeah.
you that's who you go with, right? But
So
you
you
throw
were
it
looking
against the
for
wall.
all three. You were looking for investors, sponsors, and angel.
Yes,
Uh,
very chaotic that first go
yeah.
around because
Okay.
I was like, I don't know, we just need money, and I
Yeah.
will ask over and over and over again a million people. So investors, they expect a return on their investment, right? And they
Hmm.
expect it in the form of money. Sponsors, however, they do expect a return on their investment, but it's more immediate, and they care about how their brand is incorporated into whatever you're doing.
What do you mean it's more invest immediate? Like
So like if
actual
you're
money, or like the fact that they want quicker
coverage.
turnaround?
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Hmm.
just they want exposure, which
Hmm.
is really funny because exposure is not free, but they try to convince us at our level to do it for free. But no, it's more about exposure. So when you're thinking about sponsorships, you want to think about the like business to business. So like if you're doing a docu-series, like in my case on mental health, then a sponsor is someone who like BetterHelp, like the app that does therapy on the app and you can text your therapist, whatever. So
Yeah.
they may, for a sponsorship credit in the show, or some like there might be like footage of them, or like someone that's talking is like, oh yeah, scrolling through their phone and you see the BetterHelp app.
Hmm.
So that kind of that's what we call a trade out. So they're willing to give you a chunk of money so that they can be sponsored by,
Yeah.
or they can have some kind of product placement.
Yeah.
um, and that's similar with collaborations. So you look at those the same way versus an investor who doesn't care really what's going on. They just want to know they're going to get their money back. So
Okay.
you have to talk to them in with different kind of language.
Okay.
Um, so there is a difference. And then there is my favorite when you're doing crowdfunding. That's just any and everybody, whoever, honey.
Yeah.
But with all three of those, you have to, I say this, I beat this over everybody's head who's interested in any kind of entertainment on their own or funding something. You have to have a solid pitch deck and a
Hmm.
solid pitch, because all three of those avenues, they need a pitch deck, whether they realize that's what they're asking for or not.
And how long is this pitch deck? Are you making it in Canva? Just because I like specifics, I want to be able to
Yes.
visualize this thing. How long is this pitch deck? Like 5 pages? Because I assume a pitch deck for this should be short. That's my assumption.
Yes,
Is
I was
that
gonna say
true?
for fundraising, it's short,
Yes.
because here's what they need. They want to know what the project is, right? So you can
Yeah.
have a beautiful title page
Yes.
with all whatever, and then the next page is your log line. They don't care that it's called a log line. It's just really to them. To investors, it's like, what is this about? So you give them like
Yeah.
a quick little two sentences, and then what they really care about is who's attached. A lot of investors care about attaching, which I just had this conversation with someone about shopping agreement and talent agreements. Another thing I didn't realize was like information. I was like, Oh, you don't know what that is. Oh, okay. Like, so I had to walk them through it. But they care about who's attached. So you need a
Yeah.
slide for that. And then most important for them is your budget. So you have to have a budget before you sit down and tell people what you need money for.
Okay.
So that slide, and the budget slide is probably like 2 or 3 slides in and
Okay.
of itself.
So just so if you're open to talking about it, because I'm
Mhm.
like such a numbers person, um, how did you come up with the budget for that documentary project, and what was the budget?
Well, that one was completely unhinged.
That was your
So
first one. You
I
didn't know what you were doing.
very, very
Yeah.
unhinged. So actually they're all unhinged, but this one was like me being like a young 20 something year old thinking I could make it all happen. So that budget, we basically, I want to say that budget might have been like 275,000 is
Mm-hmm.
what we are going for.
Woo.
Um, and we ended up raising that, but not actually using that money because an HBO came in. Because also in my naivete at the
You
time,
raised $275,000 your first time out trying to raise money.
yeah, girl, yeah. When I
Who
tell you
gave you
I
the most money, and why did
don't,
they give it to you?
so a good chunk of it came from crowdfunding.
Okay,
So
very cool.
that was probably about 50% of it.
And
Then
you
the
did the
other,
crowdfunding where, on Kickstarter or something?
at the time it was, no, I think it was Indiegogo at the time.
Indiegogo. Mm-hmm.
We did Indiegogo, and that was about 50% of the funds.
Okay.
And that was like, we'll give you executive producer credit. We'll give you a copy
You
of
get
the
an
CD.
executive credit. Give us money.
We'll have
Yes.
the creator send you a video. We'll have like, it was like
You were going
unhinged
for
and
it.
crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. I was
yes.
like, we make t-shirts, coffee
Man,
mugs. Yeah.
I
we
love
were
your
crazy.
energy. Yes.
Yeah, crazy, but it helped us. And then
Mhm.
the other 50%, so that was kind of split up. Like we had angel investors for one, which they're the reason why we kind of had to give some of the money to them. And thank God HBO ended up picking it up. But we had angel investors for a little bit of it. And then we
And why are you
had,
calling them angel? By angel investors, you just mean investors. You don't mean a different type of investor than when you were
well,
talking initially.
well, yeah, I guess angel investors specifically don't want to get involved.
Oh, okay.
So like an angel investor is like, you don't need to say my name to anybody. You don't need to put
Mhm.
me anywhere. I don't need
I
to go
just
to
want to
third
make my money
parties.
back.
I don't know. Yeah. They're just like, here, take it. And they usually are not all in every case, but they usually are better at the percentage they want back.
Okay.
Like they're a little bit kinder.
What is the average percentage that regular investors are wanting back versus angel investors?
I mean, I try to get people down, and this is a little bit outdated because last time I had to do this probably in
Yeah.
2017,
Yeah.
2018. So I try to get people down to like a 2 to 3%
Return on their
Yeah.
investment. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just good to have that number in my mind. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm like, all right, if we're in, 2024, 2025 inflation times, 5% is not a crazy thing to say, I'll give you
No.
back 5%. Okay.
No.
Okay, cool.
Unless it's like, I don't know, unless it's
Yeah.
quadrupled in the last few years because
Right.
of where we are. But
Right.
yeah, so we had angel investors, and I'm trying to think. Oh, then the other was it was sponsors, but it was like a bazillion and one sponsors.
Okay.
So they were like little, like, okay, we'll give you like 10,000. Okay, we'll give you 20,000. Okay, well,
That's
and it
not
was like it's
little.
just a,
How much are
but
these?
like it was like compared to what we
Just giving
needed.
you. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so
I've never, no
like,
one's ever given me money. So literally, if $10,000, no one's
Charla,
ever given me any money.
Have you ever asked? Have you asked?
No, and that is why you are here, Jillian.
You have
and
to
we're talking
ask.
about
You
it.
have to ask. So right now I'm
Yes.
starting a production company, and my main
Yes.
focus is me asking people for money.
Okay, so on that note, here's another question. Should you seek sponsors before signing with a production company as incentive for said production companies to come on board, or the other way around?
Okay, read that
I'm
again.
gonna put it again.
Should you seek sponsors before signing with the production company? So if you have the option to sign with a production company, they're taking care of that.
Yeah.
So
That's why you
you're
as a production company have to raise money because you need funds
yes.
to make these projects. So you're kind of
Yes.
taking over the job, or you're doing the heavy lifting that the production company is going to be doing if you yourself go out and seek sponsorship. So it seems like you should look for either or. You should either raise the
Yes.
money to make your project, or you should reach out to investors to help you make the project. I mean, production
Production
companies to
companies,
help you
yeah.
make the project.
Because
Yeah.
what will happen, so with reality shows, usually what happens is um because a friend and I sold something to Bravo years ago.
Hmm.
And essentially what a production company will do is they will go, "Hey, we're going to cut you a check to make it happen." They're like, "We love it, do it. Here's the money, make it happen." With the assumption that me and my friend at the time were able to be a production company. We were not. So we had to go back and
Okay.
say no. We had to go be like, "Oh, I don't, it's just the two of us. Like, I don't know why you
Yeah.
thought we were like a whole team." I mean,
Yeah.
yes, we carry the energy of like the audacity of an entire like army behind us, but it's just two of us. So that we ended up having to literally give them the check back, and then they connected us with a production company that they work with a lot. So when
Very
ideas
cool.
come in and they need someone to do it, they have their go-to production companies. So then we worked with them, um, and that was kind of a weird experience, and it left me wanting to be the production company. I was like, okay, I see, I'll be
Wait,
the
sorry.
production
Say that one
company.
more time, real quick.
That
I
no.
missed part of
So
that.
no. So what ended up happening is they went to their go-to production companies and said,
Yes.
"Hey, these two people have a show. We like it. We're picking it up. We want to at least do like a trial few episodes.
Yeah.
So we want you guys to produce it, but you have to work with them because it's their thing." So then we worked with the production company, and in that process, it was so chaotic, but it made me realize I don't want to be the individual selling. I want to be the production company that they come to make it happen, because they cut the check to you to make it happen and they give you the idea to make it happen. So I realized for my career and long term, I want to be the go-to production company for networks and streaming service and stuff like that. So that would be great. But at the current moment, as I am my only employee,
Yes.
I have to raise the funds myself, get
Yeah.
a couple things under my belt, and then I can be like, "Okay, I'm your go-to." Thanks.
And what do you have planned like for your slate? Like what is the vision for this production company?
So I definitely want to do a more unscripted than
Okay.
anything. But what's crazy though is the two projects that are the closest to coming to fruition are both scripted.
And are
So
they like dramas? Are they
one is a
films?
historical drama
Uh-huh.
TV series.
Mhm.
And the other, we don't know yet. It's just a really great concept.
Okay.
And we're trying to, like, it's early stages. Like, we're like, this woman was writing a book. She's not even done with the book. And I was
Yeah.
like, wait, I need this. Like, let's
So
do this.
can I ask how much money you're trying to raise and like what's the plan to raise it?
So I don't have like a cap,
Mhm.
but what I am asking people for, okay, don't laugh. But I am asking people for at least 100,000 to
Mhm.
invest.
And who are
And
these people?
it's everyone. Like when I tell you,
Uh-huh.
it's everyone. So there's a
Yeah.
couple of like, um, there's a couple that there's, I can't even think of their names, but there's a couple of sites that specialize in fundraising for startups, right? For
Mhm.
new companies. So I go through those sites. There's one that I did a episode, I think Good Morning America or something I did with them. And so I just reached out to them and they're like, "Okay, great. We're going to funnel whoever we can over to you." And so it's just getting them to invest. For me, the holdup right now is the investors are savvier when it comes to entertainment now.
Yeah.
So they're not just going, "Here's the money, here's what I want in return." Now they're going, "Here's the money, I want to own this percentage, and I want this credit on anything that you have coming out in the next however many years."
Oh
And I'm
wow.
just like,
Damn.
I can't, like, literally someone just asked me if they could have 51% ownership for a
Of the
hundred thousand
project?
dollars. No, for the company. I was like, no, no, no,
51%? Do they think that
no.
$100,000 is 20 million?
No. I think
Okay.
they think I'm stupid.
Oh,
I
okay.
think they try it. They just try
Yeah, yeah,
it,
they tried it.
right? They try it.
Yeah,
And then I'm
that's
like, no.
amazing. You never know how many people are trying it, and then you took a bad deal just because they were doing something
They're
nuts.
like, ooh, let me put
Yeah,
my toe in there and see.
right.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, I'm not even going to give somebody 20%.
Yeah.
Like, no.
So, okay. So I assume you've created some sort of pitch deck for your production company. And how
Hmm.
many pages is it? What's included in it?
Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
If I okay, so it's a two-parter. So I have a pitch deck for investors and I have a pitch deck for networks and streamers that I want to work with me. So the network streamer one, that one's 12 pages and the investor one is 8 pages.
Okay. And what's included in and so I mean it feels like we're going to need another conversation because I'm already interested in why you already have a network pitch deck if you
Yeah.
don't have a company yet. So or
Unhinged. Unhinged.
or you don't have a funded company yet. So but I love
Unhinged.
I love the future, the vision and the nonstop nature of this. I'm here for it. Oh,
Yeah.
I think let me see if we have any more questions before I ask my question. What are some of the most common questions that investors ask? Good one. Yeah.
Oh, the money at how much money do you anticipate getting? So they want to how much money you're going to spend, right?
Hmm.
Where that money is going to go. So they want to see a budget. They want to know when to expect their money back and the probability of them getting money back. And then they always want to know how much of it can they own. Like
Yeah.
that's where it is,
Okay.
especially with the production company. I think with
Yeah.
when you're pitching projects, it's slightly different, but they definitely want to know.
Yeah. Nerd question. How do you calculate or ensure, like, how do you even word that of what they can expect to make back? Because I wouldn't even know how to be, I'd be like, I don't know. Like,
Here's
you
the
might
thing.
have to be just
I don't
like
know either. I
a
don't know
straight
either.
up
I don't know
donation,
either.
homie, because I don't know if you're going to get this
I
back.
don't know either, Charlotte,
So
but
you're
I don't
just
worry about
saying,
that.
okay.
I don't worry about that. I don't. I don't worry about those things. I told you it's
Guys, I'll be
unhinged
yeah,
delusion.
I'll just say I don't know how you're going to spin that if you're, but that, maybe that's something I just leave out,
Oh no, they're going to ask you. They're going to
they're
ask
going to
you very
ask.
specifically.
But then
They will
how can I
cut you off.
intelligently answer that question if I don't know? How are you answering that question,
So,
Jillian?
Charlotte,
Cuz
I'm going to answer this.
I'm a bitch that loves to ace an interview. If I go in
Here's
for
the thing.
a pitch or an interview, I'm coming to kill. I'm coming to get that money. I'm coming to get that job. So I want to know everything that it's going to mean.
I'm going to tell you, you're
Yes.
not going in there with that energy. I'm
All
telling
right.
you. Because if you, no, you should, but I can
Okay.
tell that you're not because the thing with, especially with angel investors, and this is like so off the record officially, but live, um, they, they like being told what they're going to do.
Mhm.
So if you're coming into a meeting, you're saying, hey, and all your stuff has to be in alignment, right? Like your ducks have to be in a row. It has to be an appealing deck. It has to be an appealing pitch. So once you've got them in and now they're asking you questions, at least for me, the minute you ask me a question about something, I know I have you. So
Yeah,
then
cuz you're
now,
interested. Yeah.
yeah. And the way I talk to my class when I'm like, I'll block you, don't
Right,
ask them
right.
dumb questions. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's me in the room.
Oh, wonderful. So
Yeah.
they like this, huh?
Yeah, you just because you just have to tell them like if you have a legit budget, I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't know how to even come
Yeah.
up with a budget for it. Like telling people you need your above the line budget, your below the line budget. You to figure out location cost. You need to figure out
This seems
like
like this. So here's what you're telling me, Jillian. You're telling me that we need like a serious deep dive into this because I feel like we're just glossing over the surface. I
yeah,
feel like what we're learning in this session is that you need to go in with your masculine energy because Jillian's
absolutely.
coming in like a dominatrix telling you this is what's going to happen.
Yeah,
This is what
yeah,
it's going to be.
yeah.
So you got to go in with
And
your masculine energy.
they will still tell you no,
Yeah.
but what also happens is they may tell you no in that room on that day, and
Yeah.
then 2 months later you get a call going, hey, so let's talk. Perfect.
Yeah.
Don't do a whole lot of this. I'm gonna cry. You
Yeah.
guys, I'm telling you guys, I don't think y'all are ready though, because I can give you the part about the budget, like how to
Yeah.
come up with a budget, things, the essential like budget line items that you have to
Yeah.
include, the things that they're looking for, and how to figure that out. But I think the part that is you just has to be in your personality or not, is
Yeah.
really going in there. My whole mentality is these people want to give me money.
Yes.
I
Jillian,
just
we
have
have
to make
such
it
a
easy for
similar
them.
mentality because I have this mentality when I go up on stage for stand up. Whenever I start to get nervous, because I always get nervous. I'm a very anxious person, but I think it's like self-flagellation or something I enjoy. I love putting myself in terrifying situations. But anyway, um, I always think they want to laugh. So I'm
Yeah.
just, they want to laugh. They came here because they want to laugh. So it's like, I love that mindset because I feel like it makes me feel at ease to deliver.
Yeah.
So let's
They're
see.
investors for a reason because they
Yeah.
want to invest. So
Yes. Somebody said she's asking all the questions. I'm embarrassed to ask. I love these conversations because I can always be like, I don't know anything. I'm a baby. Like, tell me everything, Jillian. You know what I mean?
girl, just go in there and
Um,
know that you need it and tell
yeah.
them. And you will still
Yes.
hear no. So the other end of that advice too is
Yes.
no is just like it's not even a complete, like it is a complete sentence when I'm saying no, but when they're
Yeah.
saying no, it's just like a comma.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
sometimes will circle back. You can always circle back.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
gonna hear no a lot, but it
And
only
yet,
takes one
no
yes.
one ever died from no either. It's just
Exactly.
okay. All right, no, move on.
I'm like, yeah,
um,
next.
yes. There was a great question. How do you make a budget?
Well, is that autumn? Autumn, that is a whole other class.
That's a whole other
But
class. Okay.
it's a
Okay.
whole other
Okay.
class. But you do there you can break it down in phases. I think is probably the best way to go about doing it. But
Yeah.
you have like you have your development, like that's a budget for that. You have the actual production, like your crew, salaries, location, equipment, like things actively happening in production. And then you have your post production and marketing budget. So those are the three like big sort of phases you have to go through. But you also have to think about your above the line costs, which is like above the line just meaning producers and up. So producers, supervising producers, executive producers, line producers, and then below the line is anything under that. So associate producers, production assistants. It's basically above the line is anyone who would get an Emmy if the project won an Emmy
Yeah.
or an Oscar, whose name would be on the list. Which a lot of people don't
So
know. Not everyone makes it on that list.
yeah. So Jillian, your answer is very like, professional television lady answer. But if, when I do my own project that I'll be raising money for, because I'm definitely gonna be raising money this time and I'm gonna be so scared and I'm
Yay!
gonna ask for your help.
Absolutely. Don't be
Yes.
scared
Uh,
though.
I'm scared because I don't like to ask for money. I'm scared.
No, Charla, I get
Yeah.
that because
No, it's scary. Yeah.
on the flip side, when I'm talking to my class and I'm selling them my pitch deck and my
Yeah.
guide on how, I'm always like, okay, guys, it's $20.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I have to charge you for it, but just, I'm so sorry. And they're all like,
No.
girl, if you don't charge us for that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I
Charge.
know.
Yeah. I love
But
it.
like, if I
No,
know
it's
you got
scary.
the moolah,
Yeah.
I'm like, give it to me. I want all of it.
Yeah.
It's a stick up.
Yeah.
That's how I
It's a
go
stick
into it.
up. No, I
It's a
love it.
stick up. Hmm.
I wish I knew whatever rap song had stick up in it, but I can't think of it right now. But Jillian, so what was I gonna say? I was saying that you're doing it in such a professional way, but I would do it in the ghetto way because it is a guerrilla, production. So I'm doing a web series. I made one episode. It's called Witch Stirs. I think you know
Hmm.
about it. I want to do more episodes. I want to raise money for it. I've never raised money before because I've always just been like either too scared or too lazy, or I just don't want to wait and see
Yeah.
if I can raise money. I'll just literally take my savings and pay for it. But, this is very
In
unsustainable
this
for me.
economy?
Not
No.
literally, I cannot do it because it's just
Yeah.
like, I can't. I need to raise the money. And I also want to open myself up to receiving in a way that I haven't done before. And it just so happens that I would really need it because I don't have that extra money to be able to do that right now.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm going to raise money for it. And I'm going to be, if you're somebody who doesn't have the, skill level, years in the industry that Jillian has, you don't have to be scared away when Jillian's talking about above the line, below the line, marketing budget, blah, blah, whatever. For me personally, I'm going to base my budget based off of how many episodes I want to do, how much the first cost me, I'm going to be, the first episode cost me $5,000, which I think was quite a lot that I paid for. And I made mistakes. I feel like a lot of that money went to the directing and the editing. I mean, the DP, the director of photography, and the editing. And I paid the actors, and yeah, that's where most of the money went, I would say, because I got a free location and things like that. But I'm gonna be doing a lot of pre-production planning, talking to a DP, talking to any sound people, any editors that I need. I'm gonna want VFX for this thing. I don't know that much about marketing, but I'll probably want to put some money to the side to be able to invest in marketing should I want to do that. So I feel like you don't have to have these extremely like sophisticated levels of budget planning to be able to put together a budget and make your thing. It really comes down to, can you figure out what is going to be, at least for me personally, it's going to be, what is going to be my biggest cost? Is it going to be the editing? Is it going to be the VFX? Is it going to be like the actual location? Am I going to be able to find one? Like, what's going to be my biggest cost, and how can I mitigate that as much as possible and have extra so that I can do those special things if I want to, like the marketing, like the things that a bigger budget thing can do. But I feel like keeping it basic and simple and straight to the point is your biggest tool when you're not at Jillian's level. You know what I mean? When you're not, no, seriously, when you're not a professional.
But I will tell you, it's the same. You just don't have the language around it, right?
Yes.
Like the average person wouldn't have the language.
Yes.
What you just listed,
yeah,
that is phase 2 production.
Yeah. Right.
So that's crew, production,
Yes.
design, wardrobe,
Yeah.
makeup, any permits, any of that stuff.
You're an actual professional producer. I'm a writer and comedian who I want to make something, and I have like a natural producer brain, but I don't have like a, skilled producer brain. Like, if I want to get it done, we're going to get it done, but it's not going to be like professional in any way. It's going to be like,
it's called conditioning.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for like 20 something years. So I'm just conditioned at this point.
Yeah.
But I hear what you say.
Yeah. I don't see any more questions. It's already been over an hour, so I don't want to hold you anymore, Jillian. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for coming on The Working Writer and sharing your expertise. Thank you guys for being on the live and for asking your questions. Fantastic questions. Jillian and I will have to connect and do this again, because of course I'm going to want to deep dive. And next time I'm going to ask her to bring that pitch deck or bring a template or bring a sample pitch deck and show us what we're working with and give us a sense of what the budget breakdown looked like. Cause I'm a nerd and I'm going to want to see all of it. So thank you so much. Much appreciated. Thanks again, guys, for coming on. All right. We're stopping. I don't know what else to say. We're stopping.
You said and cut. Thank you.
And we're